Hey, so this is my first video, and I wanted to make a kind of a special one, just to introduce myself. My name's Lee. I've been using Blender on and off for about 15 years, only for like hobby or if I've been making games and stuff. In my spare time, I like to create create games um, or baby, maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. Or sometimes I just like to just chill out, and I find it so relaxing making stuff and just seeing what things look like when I've created them and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for years and years, probably even longer than 15 years to be honest. I picked it up very early on, when it was just a ridiculously difficult tool to work with. Obviously, over the years, it's changed dramatically. Now it's so perfect now. I've even to the fact that I've worked with like 3ds Max and stuff, and I just find that so difficult. Obviously, it's what you know, isn't it? So, the Blender team are just like fantastic. Like what they've created here is just unbelievable. Anyway, I'm raveting. I don't even think that's a real word, but anyway, let's get into it. So I thought for my first video, or it's technically my second video, but my first video speaking, I thought I'd create some low poly weapons. I've got a reference here. So I found this. I just googled weapons on Google, and then it took me to this place. So I'm going to make some of these, and it's going to be a little bit of a create along. If you want to, you can create along with me. If you're new to Blender, you're in for a treat. Blender's fantastic. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite things to do. And these weapons have been created in Vector software, I'm guessing. Um, and it was made by this dude or dudess, whichever. Nain Izul. I apologise if I've just murdered that name. But yeah, I'm gonna be making a few of these. So let's get on with it. So, unlike a lot of people, I'm gonna keep this cube because I think we can work with this. Just so you know, I'm not going to be going from any kind of scale. We're just going to create the objects and possibly just scale them down after, but it doesn't really matter. I've added the screencast keys at the bottom corner. Sometimes they do tend to go off. I don't know why, but yeah. So if they do go off, I apologise. I will try to keep checking just to make sure. But yeah, let's get going. So first of all, I'm going to create this really nice simple spear to start off with. So we are going to scale on the Y. In fact, let's scale it right. Oops, scale it right up like that on the Y. Let's go into edit mode and press 2. Oops, didn't mean to press. Oh, that's not sure. So basically, what we want to do is, in fact, we just want to kind of get a basic shape of that spear. If we press the 3, we'll go into face mode and E to extrude. I'm just going to extrude that out just a little bit and then scale by pressing S. And then I'm going to scale on the Z just to bring it back in a bit, and we're going to just extrude that out again by pressing E. I'm going to press I to go in, and then we're going to scale on the Z by pressing S and then Z. So that scales it on the Z axis. And then we're just going to extrude that out again. This is going to be our blade. Okay, it's coming along a little bit better. Let's press Control R. That'll give us a loop cut. And we can scale that on the X. Just make it a bit bigger. Like that. Then we can press 2. And we can grab these two edges here. And if we press Scale and X, it will scale it in towards each other. Like that. I'm going to add a loop cut right down the center, and we're actually going to cut this in half. So if we press Alt Z, that'll just make everything invisible, so we can actually see through it. Because if we do this without, it's only going to get the edges that it can actually see. So we need to make sure we press Alt Z, and I'm telling you the keyboard shortcuts because it's so much better to remember the shortcuts. But if you are struggling with some of them, everything that I'm using is usually found up here somewhere. So if edges, we can just click on edges, faces, mesh. You can even make your own. This is how easy it is to make your own shortcuts. You can just click on something. So let's just say snap. I've created this one myself, so because I use this quite often. So if you go to cursor to selected, cursor is this little 3D cursor that you can see on the screen here. Let's put that back. And to like snap it to where we need it, if you go to mesh snap, this is in edit mode. If you press tab and you go down to snap, cursor to selected, and I've added a shortcut. And to add a shortcut, you just right click on anything and then go to change shortcut or add shortcut. And then now I can just press Shift, Control, Alt, and then equals, and then that just snaps our 3D cursor to the object, or like to the median, I think. Although it doesn't really look very median. There you go. Anywho, let's carry on. So what I want to do now is I want to cut this side off. So if you just select that entire side, including the line down the middle, and then just press X and then delete faces, like that. Then we can come over to here, which is our modifier. It's like a little wrench or a little I don't even know what that's called. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm just trying to think of what it's called. It's doing my head in. Anyway, so these are your modifiers. This helps. So I'm adding a mirror modifier, and we've got it set to the x-axis. If we can also set it to the y and z. Obviously, we don't need that. We just need the x. And if we click clipping, if we were to select all of our edges now, let's just click that to, as you can see, it's we can move that freely and nothing's distorted. But if we was to click clipping, then we can move it like that and it sticks together. It's just a useful little tip to remember. Okay, so now we can make sure we're on edge mode, click these and that one too, and then I'm going to scale on the Z. Sorry, let's click that one as well. So scale Z, so SZ, and we'll probably make it round about there, and we can make it look a bit more low poly by selecting these edges and then clicking and then pressing Control B to bevel. And then we can, in fact, before we do that, let's go back into object mode. You can choose which mode you want from up here, and you can click Control A. This brings up this little apply box, and we can just apply the scale. That just sets everything back. In fact, let me just go back, I'll show you. So this is our scale. Obviously we've scaled it. This is 31, it was 1. And then when we click Control A and then scale, boom, sets it back to 1. So now everything, when we choose the bevel and stuff, it'll work the way we want it to. So with these selected, yeah, with these, we'll do this one as well, these two. With these selected, we can press Control B and bevel that in, so it gives it that kind of a shiny edge, which looks a little bit more low poly. And also, in fact, let me just go back out of that. I'm going to select these, and I'm going to scale them a bit on the Z, like that. That looks all right. Okay, so now we're going to make this look a bit more like a little bit more like a wooden handle, I suppose. So select that, tab to go into edit mode, I'll select all 4 corners. Oh, get a bit closer. Oh, actually no, we can't. Sorry, we're in mirror mode. So let's just select these 2 edges, and we'll do what we just did. In fact, let's go over here and we'll select these ones too. And we can do this. So bevel again, Control B. In fact, that's performing a little weirdly. We'll come back to them. So we'll just select these 2, Control B, and we will move these. The fun thing about the bevel, when we use it like this, is all we need to do is scroll up on our mouse, and as you can see, it adds a little bit more edges to make it a bit more rounded. You can play with this as much as you want and add as many as you like. I'm probably just gonna keep it still pretty low. I'll just have it like that with two. So we've still got this kind of these straight edges that we can still see. Let's have a quick look. That's looking good. At the bottom of here, oh, sorry, it's getting a bit difficult. So if you press the dot or delete on the Dell on the if you've got a keypad, the numpad, sorry, it'll zoom into where you're wanting to look, or where you selected, sorry. So let's go into vertex mode, press 1 on the keyboard, and we can press F. That's not what I want. We'll extrude and then scale. So extrude is E, and then press S to scale 0. That's not exactly how I wanted it. And that's really because we're in mirror mode. But I'll come back to this bit actually. Let's just add that back. We'll add that back. It's because I kind of wanted to add it around. But what I'll actually do instead is make a loop cut down here. Select these by, you can select a loop by pressing Alt and left click. In fact, it depends how you've got yours set up. I've got mine set up so that to select anything, I just have to press the left button, the left mouse button. But like the default and the olden days, default is the right click. But I like to have this little menu here. So depending what you're using, which one you're using to select, you can press Alt and then select where you want the loop to be, and it'll loop, if it can, all the way around. And then I'm just going to scale this inwards. It's acting a little bit weird. Let's just try and scale. So what I'll do here, I'll use what I showed you before. We're gonna, in fact, let me just go here, and I'm just gonna shift right click, and that puts the 3D cursor in the center there. This might not be perfect, but it's better than nothing. And what I'm going to choose here is I'm going to choose 3D cursor from this little box up here. This is where your transform pivot point is. So now the pivot is wherever this is. So when I scale, when I choose 3D cursor and a scale, it'll actually scale it down there. I'm just going to scale this right down like that, and then I'm going to add a loop cut, and I'm going to change that back to individual like that. So in fact, let's scale, and then the reason why it's doing that is because I've got it on clipping. So let's take clipping off for a second and try and do that again. There we go, that's better. Don't worry too much if it kind of overlaps, because we'll sort that out in a second. I'll show you a neat way of doing it. So it's overlapped, but that's not too bad. So I'm just going to add a bevel. I'm just going to add 2 bevels at the bottom there, just so it kind of gives that rounded look. And as you can see, we've kind of overlapped here. I'm just going to, in fact, let's go into the see-through by pressing Alt-Z. I'm just going to select these 2. It should select the bottom 2. Yep. And we can just drag this out. In fact, let's click clip in again, and then it won't go any further. It'll just go to where it's supposed to, like that. It looks a bit neater. There we go. So that's a really quick and simple. Let's just add a bit of a press 2. Just going to select this and then press the period key on the numpad. Does it still work on? No, it doesn't work on the keyboard. You need a numpad to do that, I think. Maybe there is another way of doing it. And then on this, we'll just add this like that. And as you can see, we've got a problem with this. So let's grab this one first. Let's grab. Do we even need that? I don't even think we need that. Let's try and get rid of that vertice. Let's get rid of that. And what I'll just do here, it's probably a better way of doing this, but in fact, let's Add that to there. So to connect these two together and add a face, basically, you just select one vertex, then another vertex, and then press F, and that'll fill. I'll just add an edge from and to. So from your selection to the second selection. So let's just delete this one again. Delete vertices, and then I'm just going to select that. F, 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 and that looks all right. So now what we need to do is we'll just do what we just did again. So select the 4, F, and that'll add a face. F, 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 sorry. And just this one can be like that. And there we go. That's so much better. It's a little bit messy, don't get me wrong. This entire thing is a little bit messy up here. In fact, what we can do, go into edge mode and select the messy bits and press we can click X and then go to dissolve edges, and it'll get rid of the edges if the edges aren't important, basically. So this one, as you can see, these aren't really that important, and that one might be, but this one's not. We can dissolve the edge, X, dissolve edge. Let's just, so if we press K, we get this like little knife icon. We can actually just left click on the first one and then left click where we want it to end, and then press enter, and that basically gets rid of that adds an edge. So we can select these and then dissolve edges, these, dissolve edges, and it just makes it a little bit neater, much neater. So yeah, I'm just thinking, should I add a... You'll notice now when I actually attempt to do a loop to select this loop, it doesn't do it because we've messed about with this. This isn't a quad, because we've deleted some of the edges. We have to actually use Shift to select again, and then Shift Alt to select the rest. But it's not a big deal. Just do that. Give it a bit of a rounded look. Same with this one. And there you go. There is our spear. I think that's alright. It's not perfect. It'd look alright in a game, I suppose. In fact, when I look at it, it does look a little bit too big, so I'm actually going to go into vertice mode by pressing the 1 key, and we're just going to actually make sure we've got Alt Z selected and select these top ones and scale let's have a look. Let's do median scale. There we go. Scale that down. Press G to grab, and then we can bring that down like that. That looks a little bit better. There we go. Now all that there is left to do is give it a little bit of colour. So if we go into let's just press N to get rid of this little menu at the side. If we go into material mode, we can have a look at what colour we've got. And as you can see, it's just pure white at the moment. So let's go over to our shading tab by pressing shading up at this top, and we can add some colour to it. So first off, I'm going to go into edit mode. In fact, no, we're not. We're going to come over to this side, go back to our modifiers, and this mirror modifier, I'm just going to click on this little arrow, and I'm going to click apply, and that's going to apply that modifier. And so now if we go into edit mode, we can see that it's all joined and everything's the way it should be. Do you know, I think what I am going to do, I think it might be just a little bit too smoothed out for my liking. I'm going to edit mode, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select one. In fact, what I'll do is I'll press Control Z, Control Z, Control Z until we can see our modifier back up here, and then just so we don't have to do it twice, select that loop, which takes us right down here. In fact, I'm just going to unselect that last loop. I'm just going to take a few of these. So again, that one's going all the way around. I'm just pressing Control and left clicking to remove those ones. Gets a little bit fiddly. And then select that one, and select. No, I think that should be alright. Just press Control and then deselect like that. This might not even work. I apologise if I'm making you do this and then it doesn't work out. I have to apply it again. But yeah. Okay, so if I just press X and then dissolve edges, yeah, I think that's much better. It looks a bit more like a low poly. Right, so if we go back into our shading tab, actually let's go over to our mirror in object mode and then apply it. So let's select this, go into top view, scroll out. First, it might just be easier if we select this. Make sure we've got it selected in X-ray mode. So we'll select that and then press Control I, and that's just going to select our the wood. So that's what I'm actually going to call it. So this first one I'm just going to call it spear dot wood, and we can assign it in here. At the moment it doesn't actually assign anything because it needs a default material, and at the moment that this is the default material, so I will colour it. Let's just make it a little bit of a, let's have a look at that. That could work. Roughness, let's move it up to about 8.9. And then here we can add our blade colour. So let's select all of this, and then add another material to this object. Just click that little plus button, and then in edit mode, make sure you're in edit mode, click assign. And let's add a new material. Let's call this spear dot metal, and then we can add a metalish colour. Let's turn metallic up, specular up, and roughness down. There we go. We've got a nice looking little blade. I'm just gonna add a few like little nicks to the edges. So let's add a loop cut, which isn't going to work because we've messed about with the edges, but there is a way to do it. If we go into side view by pressing 3 on our numpad, we can select this, make sure it's all selected. If we come over to this one here, knife, and then go to bisect, we can choose this, and it should, if we choose control, we hold down control, it'll add a loop there. Oh, sorry, done it again. Apologies, do that again. Choose bisect and then control. Control once you've done that. Oh, it's done it again, never mind. Oh. Right. We need to actually go into X-ray mode, so let's try that. So start moving downwards and then hold control, and then that'll make it so it's at a proper angle. And then that, it's just not working for me. So I'll have to go into the top mode and I don't know why that didn't work. I thought that it just went straight through. That's a little bit weird. It's a little bit annoying actually. I'll tell you what I can do. Just because I don't want it to be perfect anyway, so we will just go into grab one of the loop cut. What happened to it? Do you know what? I'm just gonna not do that. I should have done it a little bit earlier on when it was even. It's not even now, you see, so that's why it's not working. It's not that important. Just might give it a little bit more of a unique look. But yeah, there we go. That's our first object. This video went on way longer than I wanted it to, so join me in the next video and we will do, I don't know, eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Well, let's do this one, this interesting shape. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. It's brand new. I'd love to get a few people on board. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.